lab. And then there's an article by Frand, which is also based on speculation. And so one of the literature reviews that came out recently came to the conclusion that rather than being empirically and theoretically informed, the debate can be likened to an academic form of a moral panic that restricts critical and rational debate. And when they talk about the idea of moral panic, they're talking about the idea that it's when an entire generation or entire group of people are blamed for a particular issue, and it causes us, as she says, to essentially close down the debate and just sort of treat it as an accepted fact. And I think that's what's happened, is we've by and large accepted this as fact without looking at the underlying research. So that's the popular, mostly the popular literature that has been used to make and put forward these claims about the net generation. If you actually look at the research, the academic research, or the research where we can actually get at the methodology to determine its quality, you find a different picture, and I want to just highlight some of that. First of all, an Ipsos Reid survey came out in November of 2007, and this was done, a survey of over 2,000 internet users. And its conclusion is quite interesting. It says the results belies a common belief that young people are most at ease in cyberspace, with studies suggesting that not only do teens spend less time than their elders online, they are also more conservative in their use of technology. So that's very interesting. I mean, that completely contradicts the notion that this entire generation is technologically sophisticated and constantly connected and constantly online. Some work done in Australia by Kennedy and her colleagues, survey of over 2,500 students in 3 Australian universities, found that the use of collaborative and Web 2.0 technologies was actually very low. And so they say that to accept the claims of some of the commentators on the changes needed in universities to cater for this generation of students without undertaking further research is likely to be a substantial mistake. Here in Canada, a survey at the University of Guelph, again close to 3,000 students, found that they were reluctant to mix personal and academic use of computers, that they may not use technology the way we expect them to, that their use of online social networks for academic use was quite low. And they say that rather than trying to find ways to use technologies, we should determine what students need and base those decisions on those needs. Sensible advice. Another literature review came out, and it was kind of, we had mixed feelings about this because we were all set to write our own literature review, and just as we were getting ready to do that, 2 of them came out. And this one is, I think, the most recent one. And it concludes that there is scant evidence to support the idea that emerging research challenges notions of a homogeneous generation with technical expertise and a distinctive learning style. Instead, it suggests variations within this population which may be more significant to educators than the similarities. So again, what they're saying is we need to look at the specifics of our learners and not treat them as an entire, not generalized to an entire generation. Another review by Reeves and O found that most of the popular literature on the subject, that much of what I've just summarized for you, appears to rest on limited data, almost always conducted by survey methods characterized by a lack of reliability and validity. And then the other literature review that just came out from 2 British researchers concluded that the outcomes suggest that although the calls for radical transformations in educational approaches may be legitimate, which is what I'm saying, and I think we probably would all agree, it would be misleading to ground the arguments for such change solely in students' shifting expectations and patterns of learning and technology use. And then we have, and this is an interesting study that came out of the University College of London, and it looked at a slightly older cohort of learners who were born after 1992, and it was looking more specifically at how they were using their information-seeking behavior and how they were using library resources and how are they using the internet to actually access resources. And what they found, and it's an excellent study and very detailed, and I'm just capturing some of the key points. First of all, it found that this group had poor information literacy, that they failed to critically evaluate information found on the internet, that they lack effective search skills. So this is completely counter to what Tapscott is saying, which is that this generation, because they have access to this technology and they're using it so frequently and intensively, are by definition critical thinkers.